Have you ever looked around and wondered, with all the progress we've made, with all the stuff we've collected, why are so many of us still unhappy? We live in a world that's more connected than ever before. A world of opportunity, innovation, and instant gratification. We have smart homes, smartphones, endless entertainment, and entire shopping malls inside our pockets. And yet, anxiety is at an all-time high. Depression is growing. Loneliness is quietly creeping into more lives than we care to admit. You see, there's a paradox in modern life, one that no one warned us about. We were told that success, money, status, and stuff would make us happy. That if we just worked harder, earned more, climbed higher, then finally we'd feel fulfilled. But deep down, we know that's not the whole story. Because if that formula really worked, wouldn't we already be happy? Hi, I'm glad you're here. Because today, we're going to talk about something that matters far more than any algorithm, any promotion, or any shiny new gadget. We're going to talk about happiness, not the filtered, Instagrammable kind. Not the kind that depends on vacations or someone else's approval, but the real kind. The kind that doesn't fade when the party's over or when life gets hard. And here's the spoiler, right up front. True happiness doesn't come from what you own or what you achieve. It comes from how you live, how you think, how you see the world. And the good news, you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to move to a new city or wait for some magical turning point in life. The wisdom you're looking for has been around for thousands of years. From the quiet writings of Marcus Aurelius scribbled in battle camps to the calm defiance of Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, to the elegant clarity of Seneca's letters. The ancient Stoics taught principles for living a good life long before we had therapy apps or best-selling self-help books. And yet, what they said still speaks to us today, maybe now more than ever, because modern psychology, it's finally catching up. Today's science echoes what the Stoics knew centuries ago, that your mindset shapes your world more than your circumstances. That discipline brings freedom. That gratitude brings peace. And that fulfillment is found in the small, everyday moments we often ignore. Here's the heart of it. We've been looking out there when the answers are actually in here. And I get it. Life is noisy. The world is fast. Most of us are just trying to keep up. It's easy to get swept into the current, chasing one more thing, saying, I'll slow down when I get there. But what if there never comes? What if happiness isn't a destination at all? What if it's a practice, a habit, a quiet decision you make every single day? Today, we're going to explore what that kind of happiness looks like. The kind that doesn't rely on luck. The kind that can't be bought, borrowed, or broken. We're going to blend ancient wisdom with modern science. No fluff, no magic formulas, just practical insights that have stood the test of time and that you can start applying today. Because you deserve more than just getting by. You deserve to feel alive. You deserve peace, not someday, but now. So if you've ever found yourself asking, why does success still feel empty? Why am I exhausted even when I'm doing everything right? What am I missing? We're going to slow things down, take a deep breath, and walk through the 13 powerful lessons that can change not just your day, but your entire perspective on life. And don't worry, these aren't vague, feel-good quotes. These are tools. Real, grounded, time-tested tools that can help you laugh more even when life is messy. Find joy in simplicity, not perfection. Build habits that align with who you truly are. Reconnect with people, with nature, with yourself. Because what if the most radical thing you could do today is turn off your phone, step outside, and just breathe? What if the most courageous thing is to stop chasing and start being? And what if the key to happiness was never lost? It's just been buried beneath everything we thought we needed. So let's begin this journey, not toward some distant finish line, but back to ourselves. Back to a life where purpose is felt, not just pursued, where peace isn't found in escape, but in presence, and where happiness doesn't depend on what happens to us, but on what we choose to become. Stick with me. This is going to be different. Not louder, but deeper. Not faster, but wiser. Let's rediscover what it really means to live well. Let's begin. Let me tell you a story, not the kind with dragons or fairy tale endings, but one that might feel a little closer to home. There was once a young man named Mark. From the outside, Mark had everything most people dream of. A stable job, a nice house in a peaceful valley, a closet full of clothes, a garage with more than one vehicle. By all modern standards, he was successful. But something was missing. Every morning he'd wake up with that nagging feeling, like there was a hole he couldn't quite fill. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're checking all the boxes but still feel empty. Mark didn't understand it. He had all the things people told him would make him happy, but inside he felt disconnected, restless, like life was happening to him, not through him. So one day he did something most people never do. He stopped. He packed a small bag, left behind the noise and the expectations, and went on a journey, not across the world but inward. He was searching for something no GPS could find. After days of wandering, he found himself in front of a small wooden cabin perched on a hill. Inside lived an old man, quiet, calm, the kind of person whose presence alone made you feel like everything was going to be okay. They sat by the fire, sipping tea, not rushing the conversation. And when Mark finally poured his heart out and asked, "How do I find happiness?" the old man smiled and said, "You don't need more things. You don't need more power. You need 3 simple practices: gratitude, acceptance, and love." At first, Mark didn't understand. "That's it?" he asked. "Just 3 things?" The old man nodded, and what he said next would stay with Mark forever. "If you don't appreciate what you already have," the old man said, "you'll never feel like you have enough." It sounds simple, but how often do we forget this? We're constantly told to want more money, more time, more recognition. And while there's nothing wrong with ambition, we sometimes forget to pause and see the beauty in what's already here. Gratitude isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing to notice what's already good. The warm sun on your skin, the text from a friend, the fact that you woke up breathing today. Gratitude grounds us. It reminds us that joy doesn't come from accumulation, but from appreciation. And science backs this up. Studies show that people who regularly practice gratitude report higher levels of happiness, better sleep, and even stronger immune systems. So let me ask you, when was the last time you really appreciated the small things in your life? Not just acknowledged them, but felt them. Next, the old man spoke of acceptance. "Life will always have ups and downs," he said. "Storms will come, but peace isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to stand in the rain without losing yourself." How often do we fight life? We resist the bad days, the setbacks, the imperfections. We think, "I'll be happy when things go my way." But life doesn't always go our way. And that's not a design flaw. It's the very nature of being alive. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening our grip on how we think things should be and finding calm in how things are. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from events, but from our judgments about them." In other words, it's not what happens, it's how we interpret it. Acceptance is the courage to meet life on its terms, not ours. It's the inner strength to bend, not break. Think about the last time something unexpected disrupted your day. A traffic jam, a delay, a harsh comment. Did you resist it? Or did you accept it, breathe, and move through it with grace? Finally, the old man looked at Mark and said softly, "Love what you do. Love the people around you. And above all, learn to love yourself. Love is not just a feeling, it's a practice. A commitment to show up with kindness, with presence, with compassion, even when it's hard. Because here's the truth. You can have all the money, all the freedom, all the success, but without love, it's all empty. Love gives meaning to the moments. It turns routine into ritual. It turns strangers into family. It turns life from black and white into color. And yes, it starts with loving yourself, not in a selfish or boastful way, but with acceptance and tenderness. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, Mark began to understand. Gratitude rooted him in the present. Acceptance gave him peace in uncertainty, and love gave him the strength to share his light with others. When he returned to the valley, people noticed something had changed. He was lighter, warmer, more alive. They asked him, "Mark, what happened to you?" He didn't give them a lecture. He didn't hand out a checklist. He just smiled and said, "Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you practice. Every single day, with gratitude, with acceptance, with love." So why did I tell you this story? Because maybe, just maybe, we're all a little like Mark. Maybe we've been chasing happiness like it's a destination, somewhere far away, only reachable if we just try harder. But what if we've had the keys all along? What if happiness is not a place, but a practice? A quiet moment of gratitude before your day begins. A choice to accept what you cannot change. An act of love for yourself or for someone else. You don't need a cabin in the woods to begin. You just need a willingness to look inward. So the next time life feels heavy or you feel lost, remember Mark's journey and ask yourself, am I being grateful? Am I accepting? Am I loving? Because if you can answer yes to those three, even just a little, then maybe you're already on the path to something deeper than happiness. Maybe you're living it. Let's be honest. When was the last time you really laughed? Not a polite smile, not a half-hearted chuckle in a Zoom meeting, but a real laugh, one that bubbles up from your chest and makes you forget, just for a moment, everything else. If it's been a while, you're not alone. Modern life has a way of squeezing the joy out of our daily routines. We've become masters at being efficient, productive, and exhausted. We take life so seriously, as if there's some invisible scoreboard keeping track of who can frown the hardest. But here's the question. What if laughter isn't just a luxury? What if it's a tool, a life-saving, sanity-protecting, joy-restoring tool we've forgotten how to use? Laughter isn't just something that feels good. It's something that is good for your body, your brain, and your spirit. Let me break it down. When you laugh, even for a few seconds, your brain releases endorphins, the body's natural, feel-good chemicals. These are the same chemicals responsible for that post-workout high or that peaceful feeling after a warm hug. At the same time, laughter reduces cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones that flood your system when you're overwhelmed or anxious. Translation: laughter literally helps you reset your nervous system. It slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, strengthens your immune system, and maybe most importantly, it reminds you that joy is still possible, even when life feels heavy. You know, the ancient Stoics, those philosophers we often think of as stoic in the emotionless sense, they weren't against joy. They weren't anti-laughter, quite the opposite. Epictetus, one of the most well-known Stoics, once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." That quote might sound like heavy philosophy, but here's what it really means. Life will throw things at you. Challenges, setbacks, awkward moments, unexpected losses, but how you respond, that's where your power is. And laughter. Laughter is one of the most courageous, freeing responses you can choose. Let me ask you something. When did you last laugh at your own mistake? When was the last time you found humor in an ordinary moment? When did you let go of control for just a second and allowed yourself to see the absurdity of it all? Because here's the truth. Life is weird. It's unpredictable, messy, ironic, sometimes even ridiculous. Trying to treat it like a rigid equation will only wear you down. But when you laugh, even at the absurdity, it's like saying, "Okay, life, I see what you're doing. I won't let you break me." Even science backs this up. Dr. Lee Berk from Loma Linda University studied the effects of laughter on the human body for decades. He found that laughter does more than lighten your mood. It actually protects your heart, boosts immunity, and improves brain function. And get this, even forced laughter, yes, the kind that feels fake at first, still works. That's why laughter therapy and laughter yoga exist. Because your body can't always tell the difference between real laughter and intentional laughter. The benefits still show up. So even on the days when life doesn't feel funny, you can choose to laugh anyway, and your brain and body will thank you for it. This isn't about becoming the class clown or turning every hardship into a joke. It's about practicing lightness. It's about giving yourself permission to feel joy without needing a reason. And that might be the hardest part, because for many of us, joy feels guilty. We think, "I can't laugh, look at the news. I shouldn't be happy, there's still so much to do. What will people think if I'm not taking this seriously?" But guess what? You can care deeply about the world and choose joy. You can face hardship and still smile. You can take your values seriously without taking yourself so seriously. Let me give you some real, simple ways to invite laughter back into your life. One, laugh at your own bloopers. Tripped over nothing. Spilled your smoothie. Forgot your password for the 5th time today? Laugh. It's better than shame. 2, find humor in daily absurdity, the weirdness of autocorrect, the chaos of grocery store lines, your dog's side-eye. Life is full of punchlines. 3, watch, read, or listen to something funny on purpose. Not to kill time, but to lift your spirit. Put on your favorite stand-up clip or that goofy meme thread your friend sent you. 4, surround yourself with people who help you laugh. You know who they are. The ones who make you feel light, playful, and real. Spend more time with them. 5, try forced laughter. Yes, seriously. Lock yourself in the bathroom if you have to and just start laughing. It will feel dumb. Then, it'll start to feel good. The Stoics weren't humorless monks. They believed in mastering your mindset, in choosing peace over panic, and in embracing the only thing you truly control, your response. Laughter is a response, and it's one of the most powerful ones you've got. It doesn't erase the chaos, but it helps you ride the waves. It won't fix everything, but it will give you the strength to face it all with a lighter heart. So my friend, here's your challenge today. Laugh more. Let go a little. Find the humor even in the mess, especially in the mess. And if life feels too heavy to laugh, that's exactly when you need it most. Because sometimes, the most revolutionary act in a world full of stress and seriousness is to laugh like your peace depends on it. Because maybe it does. When was the last time you really noticed the wind on your skin? Or the sound of leaves rustling in the trees? Not through your car window. Not from a nature documentary playing in the background. But with your own 2 feet on the ground and your breath syncing with the world around you. If you can't remember, don't worry. Most of us can't. Modern life has pulled us indoors, into screens, into fluorescent lights and recycled air. We've traded sunlight for screen light and wonder for Wi-Fi. And somewhere along the way, we've forgotten that nature isn't just a place you go to escape. Nature is home. And right now, we're homesick and we don't even know it. Think about your day for a second, from bed to bathroom. You don't need to pack a backpack and hike into the wilderness for a week. Nature isn't just in the mountains, it's in your neighborhood. It's in the park down the street, the garden behind your building, the patch of grass next to your driveway. It's in the way the sky changes colors in the evening if you just look up. Here are a few simple ways to reconnect. No camping gear required. 1. Take a daily walk without your phone. Even 10 minutes around the block can reset your mood. 2. Eat one meal a day outside, on your balcony, porch, or at a picnic table. Let the wind join you. 3. Open your windows early in the morning. Let the birds sing you awake. Let sunlight hit your face before your screen does. 4. Grow something, a tomato plant, a basil pot, anything. Watch it come to life. You'll feel it in your chest. 5. Practice micro moments of nature. Look at the stars. Listen to the rain. Smell the earth after it rains. Let the moment be the medicine. I'll be honest with you, I didn't always live this way. There was a time when I lived entirely through my screen. Emails, deadlines, notifications. I was always plugged in, yet somehow always drained. And then one day I did something radical. I took a walk. No agenda, no podcast, just me and the wind. At first I felt awkward, almost guilty, like I was wasting time. But then I noticed a bird I hadn't seen before. I felt my chest loosen. My thoughts slow down. I felt like me again for the first time in a long time. That 20-minute walk became a daily ritual. And those quiet steps have healed more of me than any productivity hack ever could. The trees don't compete. The rivers don't hurry. The sun doesn't burn out from doing too much. They move in rhythm with clarity, purpose, and balance. And you were meant to move that way too. So if life feels too fast, too loud, too heavy, maybe the most powerful thing you can do is step outside. Breathe in something real. Touch something alive. Let the world remind you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You're just disconnected, and it's time to come home. You don't need to run away to find peace. You just need to walk a little closer to where you began. Let's be real for a second. Mornings don't exactly have the best reputation, do they? For many of us, mornings feel like punishment. The alarm goes off. You groan. You hit snooze maybe once, maybe 4 times. And when you finally get up, you're already behind. Coffee becomes a crutch. Stress starts before breakfast. And the whole day feels like one long game of catch-up. Sound familiar? But what if I told you that changing how you start your morning could change everything? That happiness, clarity, and energy aren't hiding in some secret productivity app. They're waiting for you in the quiet stillness of early morning. Here's the truth. You don't have to be a morning person by nature. It's not a personality trait. It's a practice. And the benefits, they're backed by both science and ancient wisdom. Studies show that early risers tend to be more optimistic, more proactive, less likely to feel overwhelmed by the demands of the day. They're also more in tune with their circadian rhythm, that natural internal clock your body wants to follow. When you wake up early and go to bed earlier, your body rewards you. You sleep deeper. Your mind is clearer. Your energy lasts longer. It's like moving with the current instead of swimming against it. But even long before neuroscience confirmed all this, the Stoics understood the power of the morning. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote this in his personal journal. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He didn't see mornings as punishment. He saw them as purpose, as opportunity. Each morning was a fresh start, a moment to align with his values and decide, once again, the kind of person he wanted to be. And that's what mornings give you. Not just time, but intention. We live in a culture that glamorizes late nights, Netflix binges, midnight emails, scrolling until your brain is numb. And listen, there's nothing wrong with winding down. We all need it. But when late nights become the norm, mornings become the enemy. And over time, that starts to affect more than just your sleep. It affects your mood, your discipline, your connection to your own goals. Because let's face it, when you wake up late and rushed, you spend your day reacting, not creating. You start off in survival mode, not strategy. And your most important priorities, they get buried under the noise. Waking up early isn't about being part of some 5 a.m. cult. It's about creating space. Space to breathe before the world barges in. Space to think clearly before your mind is hijacked by everyone else's agenda. Space to check in with yourself before the stress builds up. Imagine waking up before the sun. The house is quiet, no messages, no noise, just you, a cup of something warm, and the sound of your own thoughts. That's not punishment, that's peace. And from that place of peace, you can create anything. You can move your body. You can reflect or journal. You can plan your day with clarity. You can even just sit in stillness and reconnect with yourself. Whatever you do, that time belongs to you. Not your boss, not your kids, not your notifications, just you. For years, I told myself I wasn't a morning person. I joked about it, even wore it like a badge of honor. I'm more creative at night. I function better after coffee. Sound familiar? But if I'm honest, those were just stories I told myself to avoid the discomfort of change. What finally shifted things for me wasn't discipline, it was desperation. I was tired mentally, physically, emotionally, and I realized I never had a moment to myself. I was always on, always responding to someone or something. So I started waking up 30 minutes earlier, just 30 minutes. And instead of grabbing my phone, I did something I actually enjoyed. Some mornings I stretched, others I wrote. Sometimes I just sat by the window with tea and watched the sky change. That 30 minutes became a lifeline. Then 30 became 60. And now, I look forward to mornings. They've become the most important part of my day because they remind me who I want to be. You don't have to overhaul your whole life overnight. You just need to take the first small step. Here's how. 1. Go to bed 15 minutes earlier. That's it. Just 15, not 2 hours. Start small. 2. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and do something you enjoy. Not something you should do, something that fills your tank. Oh, read something meaningful. Oh, go for a short walk. Oh, play music. Oh, meditate. Oh, watch the sunrise. 3. Make it feel like a gift, not a chore. Light a candle. Brew your favorite coffee. Sit in your favorite chair. Create a ritual you love. 4. Be consistent, not perfect. If you miss a day, don't quit. Just try again tomorrow. Mornings aren't a test, they're a tool. You don't need to wake up before the roosters. You don't need to grind harder. What you need is time for you. And mornings, whether quiet or bold, give you that. They give you the opportunity to lead yourself before the world tries to lead you. So the next time your alarm goes off and the blanket feels a little too cozy, remember this: you're not waking up just to work. You're waking up to live, to reconnect, to rise with purpose. And like Marcus Aurelius said, what do I have to complain of if I am rising to do the work of a human being? Your day, your peace, your power, it starts the moment you open your eyes. So rise, even if it's hard, even if it's just 10 minutes earlier. Because morning isn't your enemy, it's your ally. Have you ever ended a busy day, exhausted, burned out, and yet still asked yourself, why does it feel like I got nothing done? You were moving nonstop. You answered every email. You checked every box on your to-do list. But somehow, it still felt hollow, like you were running in place. That's because being busy doesn't mean being productive, and being productive doesn't mean being fulfilled. You see, it's not about how much you do in a day. It's about what you do, and why you do it. We live in a culture that worships hustle, rise and grind. Sleep is for the weak. Do more, achieve more, be more. But here's the truth. Busyness without direction is just noise. You can fill every hour of your day and still feel like your life is going nowhere. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned about this nearly 2,000 years ago. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Let that sink in. The danger isn't that we don't have enough time. It's that we lose our time in meaningless motion, meetings that don't matter, tasks that don't align with what really fulfills us, scrolling, reacting, drifting. Modern science backs Seneca up. Studies show that people who plan their days with intention, not rigidly but mindfully, tend to be happier, less anxious, and more satisfied with their lives. Why? Because setting even small, meaningful goals gives your day structure. It creates clarity in a world full of distraction. When you decide ahead of time what matters, you don't just live reactively, you live deliberately. And that one shift, from reacting to designing, can change everything. Let me be clear. This isn't about creating some hyper-optimized, minute-by-minute schedule that squeezes every drop of energy out of you. It's about intention, rhythm, not rigidity, a daily flow that aligns with your values, your joy, and your humanity. Here's how you start. 1. Begin with the end in mind. Ask yourself in the morning, if this day went well, what would I have done? Just one or two things, no more. That question pulls your focus toward what matters most. 2. Break your day into intentional blocks. Think in segments. Morning, deep focus or reflection. Midday, collaboration or movement. Afternoon, creative tasks or errands. Evening, rest, connection, recovery. When you chunk your day, you avoid the chaos of switching back and forth every 5 minutes. You give your brain space to settle. 3. Schedule joy on purpose. This is big. Don't just plan your work, plan your well-being. A walk after lunch. A 20-minute music break. A call with a friend. Reading time. A no-phone dinner. Joy is not a reward you earn after being productive. Joy is fuel for productivity. 4. Include flexibility and protect your rest. Don't pack every minute. Leave space for serendipity, for the unexpected moment, for a nap if needed, for staring at the clouds guilt-free. Your day isn't a machine. It's a living, breathing experience. For a long time, I prided myself on being always busy. My calendar was full, my inbox always blinking. I was doing all the time. But deep down, I was tired and directionless. Then one day, I did something radical. I canceled half my to-dos. I looked at each task and asked, is this aligned with the life I want to live, or is it just noise? It was uncomfortable. It felt like letting go of control, but what I found was clarity. The space I created allowed me to read more, to reconnect with old friends, to start writing again, not because I had to, but because it mattered to me. I learned that purpose doesn't come from pressure, it comes from presence. Back to Seneca, he once wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The Stoics weren't about squeezing in more. They were about squeezing out the waste, the aimlessness, the drifting, the default mode. For them, planning wasn't about control. It was about freedom. When you plan with purpose, you're not trapping yourself in structure. You're liberating yourself from chaos. You're saying, this is my life, and I will choose how I spend it. Here's your experiment. 1. Write down 2 things you want to do tomorrow that truly matter to you, not what others expect, what you care about. 2. Block 3 parts of your day. 1 for focus. 1 for rest. 1 for joy. 3. At the end of the day, don't ask, was I productive? Ask, did I live on purpose today? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. You don't need a fuller calendar. You need a fuller life. And that starts with saying yes to what matters and gently letting go of what doesn't. Plan your days like they're chapters in a story you care about, because they are, and you're the author. So write with clarity, live with design, and choose every day to make your time count, because life isn't too short. But if we don't live it with purpose, it will feel that way. Have you ever been so passionate about something? A dream, a craft, a calling. And then you hit a wall. It starts with excitement. You feel alive. You believe deep down this is it. But then come the slow days, the setbacks, the silence, the comparison, the doubt. And one day you ask yourself, is this even worth it? Am I wasting my time? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken, because the path to what you love is never a straight line. It's never easy, and it's never without resistance. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Even when you're pursuing what you love, you'll want to quit, not once, not twice, but over and over again. You'll question yourself when things move slower than you hoped, when no one's watching, when the applause fades, when you're doing everything right and still feel stuck. And in those moments, quitting feels like relief, like freedom, like the escape you've earned. But before you walk away, let me share something that changed how I see those moments forever. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Let that sink in. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacle isn't just something to avoid. It's the very path to growth. The frustration you feel, that's the fire refining you. The resistance you're facing, that's what makes your story real. The doubt, that's the price of caring about something deeply. The Stoics didn't view pain or setbacks as problems. They saw them as training. Every challenge isn't pulling you away from your purpose. It's pointing you toward it. And guess what? Modern psychology agrees. People who pursue goals tied to passion and purpose, not just money, fame, or approval, are more likely to be happier, experience lower levels of stress, and report a greater sense of meaning in their lives. Why? Because passion anchors you. Even when progress is slow, passion gives you fuel. Even when you're tired, passion reminds you why you started. This doesn't mean you'll never feel discouraged. It means when you do, you'll have something deeper holding you up. Let me share something personal. A few years ago, I started writing a project I deeply believed in. It wasn't for money. It wasn't for likes or followers. It was something I had to get out of my soul. For the first few weeks, I was on fire. Ideas came easily. I felt unstoppable. But then the resistance kicked in. People didn't understand it. Progress slowed. Self-doubt grew loud. I started asking myself, why am I doing this? Is anyone even going to care? I was ready to shelve it. But then I asked one question that changed everything. If I quit now, will I be proud of that decision 1 year from today? The answer was a clear no, so I kept showing up. Some days the work flowed. Other days it was a grind. But over time, something beautiful happened. The work began to shape me. It taught me discipline. It deepened my voice. It reminded me, the process matters more than the praise. And when the project finally reached people, it mattered. Because it was built not just with talent, but with commitment. So what can you do when quitting feels easier than continuing? Here's what's helped me, and so many others. 1. Reconnect with your why. Ask yourself, why did you start? What pulled you toward this in the first place? What would it cost you to walk away? Your why is your compass. Revisit it often. 2. Fall in love with the process. Don't just chase outcomes. Chase the habit, the daily practice, the quiet wins. Success isn't one big moment. It's showing up when no one's clapping. 3. Measure backwards, not forwards. Don't obsess over how far you still have to go. Look at how far you've already come. Progress is often invisible in the moment, but growth always leaves a trail. 4. Take breaks, not exits. Rest is not quitting. Sometimes stepping back for a day, a week, or even a month is what renews your passion. Listen to your energy, not just your emotions. Look, I get it. It's hard. Some days it feels like too much. But if it's something that lives in your soul, something that wakes you up and won't let go, then it's worth the fight. You weren't meant to just start things. You were meant to finish what matters. And when the storm comes, and it will, remember what the Stoics knew: the obstacle is not the enemy. The obstacle is the way. So keep showing up. Keep walking forward. Keep holding on to your why. Because one day, when you look back, you'll be proud you didn't give up on what you love. And that pride, that fulfillment, will be worth every step. In a world moving faster than ever, where everyone's chasing deadlines like success, one simple act still has the power to change everything: kindness. And I don't mean the cheesy, performative kind. I'm talking about real kindness, the quiet kind, the inconvenient kind, the kind that comes from strength, not from weakness, the kind that says, "I see you, I care, you matter." Somewhere along the way, we started confusing kindness with softness, as if being kind meant being naive, passive, weak. But the truth, kindness is one of the most courageous things you can choose, because being kind, especially when it's hard, means choosing presence over pride, compassion over ego, understanding over reaction. It's easy to lash out. It's easy to ignore. It's easy to protect ourselves with distance and sarcasm. But to reach out, to forgive, to help without needing applause, that takes inner strength. And every time you choose kindness, you're not just lifting someone else. You're elevating yourself. Here's the beautiful thing about kindness: it multiplies. One kind act creates a ripple. And that ripple doesn't stop with the person you help. It spreads to their day, their decisions, their energy. They carry it into their own lives, into their families, their work, their friendships. There's science behind this. Studies show that witnessing an act of kindness, even as a bystander, can elevate your mood, reduce stress, and make you more likely to be kind yourself. This is called moral elevation. It's a real. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote, "Kindness is invincible." Let that sink in. Invincible. He believed kindness wasn't just a virtue, it was a duty, a natural part of being human. Epictetus, another great Stoic, taught that we're all part of a larger whole, and so we must care for each other as extensions of ourselves. To be kind, to be just, to be helpful. That's not weakness. That's living in harmony with nature. That's living well. Okay, let's get practical. What does going for kindness look like in the real world? 1. Choose compassion over reaction. When someone cuts you off, or snaps at you, or disappoints you, pause, ask, what might they be going through that I don't see? You don't have to accept poor behavior, but responding with calm, not anger, that's power. 2. Be present in your relationships. We're so busy, we forget to look people in the eye, to listen without checking our phones, to ask how someone's really doing and wait for the answer. Kindness is showing up fully, without distraction or judgment. 3. Help even when it's inconvenient. The real test of kindness isn't when it's easy. It's when you're tired, running late, or overwhelmed, but still choose to help anyway. That's when kindness is strongest. I remember one day I was completely drained, overworked, frustrated, in a bad mood. And then, completely out of the blue, a stranger in line at the coffee shop turned around and said, "Hey, I love your energy. You've got a great vibe." It was such a simple sentence, but it flipped my entire day around. I smiled for hours. I reached out to someone I'd been ignoring. I even tipped the barista more than usual, all because of one kind moment. That stranger will never know what that meant to me, but I'll never forget it. And that's the thing about kindness. Its impact is often invisible but always real. We live in a time where kindness is radical, where choosing empathy is brave, where being soft-hearted is actually bold. But if you want to change the world around you, start by changing the energy you bring into it. Lead with kindness, not because others deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to live in a world where kindness is the norm, where connection beats comparison, where presence matters more than perfection. And that world, it begins with one choice, one moment, one kind act. Maybe that act is yours. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you said yes, and it changed your life? I'm not talking about the big, dramatic, movie-worthy yes. I mean the quiet one, the spontaneous one, the scary but exciting one. The yes to dinner with someone new. The yes to applying for that job. The yes to starting again despite the fear. Because here's what I've learned: most of the magic in life, it doesn't happen when you're certain. It happens when you're brave enough to say, yes, I'll try. So often, what holds us back isn't failure. It's the fear of not knowing what comes next. We say no to invitations, adventures, and challenges because they feel unfamiliar, because they might be uncomfortable, because they're not part of our plan. But behind every no driven by fear is a moment, a connection, or a breakthrough we never get to experience. It's like standing at the edge of a diving board and walking back down, wondering forever what the watcher would have felt like. Yes, the unknown is scary, but what's even scarier? Waking up one day and realizing your life became small because your fear was loud. Here, that's what science says. When you say yes to something new, especially something that excites or challenges you, your brain releases dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical linked to motivation, excitement, and growth. You literally train your brain to associate openness with reward. Over time, saying yes becomes a habit, and that habit builds confidence, momentum, joy. You begin to live not just by routine, but by discovery. The Stoics weren't adrenaline junkies. They didn't chase danger for the thrill, but they understood this. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. Translation: growth lives outside your comfort zone. Strength isn't built where it's safe. It's built when you say yes, even when your hands are shaking. Stoic wisdom teaches us to face the unfamiliar with curiosity, not avoidance. To lean in, not retreat. Because the purpose of life isn't to stay unchanged. It's to evolve. Saying yes doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It doesn't mean overloading your schedule or abandoning your values. It means saying yes more intentionally to the things that stretch you, scare you a little, and align with who you want to become. Say yes to new people. That invite to lunch, that networking event, that stranger at the gym. Say yes. You never know who might walk into your life. Say yes to challenges, that opportunity you don't feel ready for, that skill you think you're too old to learn. Say yes. Confidence is built in the doing, not before it. Say yes to wonder. Book the trip, take the dance class, try the weird food. Let yourself be amazed by the world again, because wonder doesn't knock twice. Years ago, I was invited to speak at a small event. It wasn't a big deal, just 20 people. No stage, no lights, but I was terrified. I nearly said no. My brain flooded me with excuses. You're not good enough. You'll mess up. It's not worth it. But something in me, something deeper, whispered, what if this leads to something more? So I said yes. And you know what? That small talk led to another invitation, and another, and eventually a career in storytelling. But it wasn't about the event. It was about what saying yes unlocked in me, a belief that I could grow, that I didn't have to be ready. I just had to be willing. Say yes even if you're scared, even if it feels inconvenient, even if it's messy, awkward, or unfamiliar. Because saying yes doesn't mean you'll always succeed, but it guarantees you'll learn. And those little yes moments, they build the kind of life you'll look back on and say, I really lived. So here's the truth. Saying no is safe. It keeps you in control, but saying yes, that's where growth happens. That's where stories begin. That's where life unfolds. Your next chapter might be waiting in a moment you almost said no to. So today, when life offers you something unexpected, a conversation, an invite, an idea, pause and instead of retreating, try whispering, yes, let's see where this goes. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were fully, truly present? Not halfway listening, not checking notifications in the background, not glancing down every few seconds just in case you missed something. I mean fully there, in the moment, with the people right in front of you, or even with yourself. Because here's the truth, we're all quietly living. Our phones are always on, but we're not. Our phones, amazing tools, no doubt, have also become our default escape hatch. Bored, open your phone, lonely, scroll, anxious, swipe, tap, refresh, tired. Watch one more thing. We carry the entire world in our pockets, but somehow feel less connected than ever. And the cost, it's higher than we realize. We're trading presence for distraction, peace for noise, depth for constant stimulation. Let's talk about what's really happening physically, emotionally, mentally. 1. Increased stress and anxiety. Studies show that constant phone use, especially social media, triggers the brain's stress response. It floods our system with cortisol, creates comparison loops, trains us to crave validation through likes, comments, and views. 2. Poor sleep. Blue light from screens messes with our circadian rhythm. Late night scrolling keeps our minds overstimulated. It delays deep rest, reduces REM sleep, and makes us wake up groggy. 3. Weaker relationships. Here's the hard one. When you're with someone and check your phone, even just for a second, you're signaling something else is more important. And over time, those moments add up. People stop sharing, stop trying, stop feeling seen. Phones don't just steal your time, they steal your presence. A 2017 study found that high phone usage correlates with increased anxiety and depression, especially in adults under 65. Another report from the University of Texas revealed that just having a phone on the table, even if turned off, reduces focus and empathy in conversation. Why? Because part of your brain is still on alert, waiting for the next buzz, ping, or update. You're there, but you're not really there. Now, imagine explaining this to Marcus Aurelius. You're sitting with a friend, but instead of listening, you keep checking a glass rectangle that lights up randomly. You miss the sunset. You miss the feeling of wind. You miss your own thoughts because you're endlessly reacting. The Stoics believed that presence is power. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Marcus Aurelius. But how can you retreat inward? How can you reflect if your attention is constantly hijacked? The Stoics would say, control what you can. Detach from what doesn't serve you. Live with intention. Your phone should be a tool, not your tether. So how do we reclaim our time, our focus, our calm? You don't need to throw your phone away. You don't even need to delete every app. You just need to create clear boundaries. Moments where you say, for this moment, I choose to be here. 1. Phone-free meals. Make it a family rule or a personal practice. No phones at the table, not even face down, put them away. You'll be amazed at the conversations that unfold when nothing competes for attention. 2. No phones 30-60 minutes before bed. Instead of ending the day with noise, end it with stillness. Read, reflect, stretch, breathe. Let your brain unwind instead of reload. You'll sleep deeper and wake up clearer. 3. Sacred present time blocks. Schedule time each day to unplug. Go for a walk without your phone. Sit in silence and journal. Play with your kids fully. Talk to someone without multitasking. Those simple, intentional blocks of time, they bring peace back into your system. They reconnect you to your values, your people, your own mind. I remember one afternoon sitting on the couch next to a friend. We were catching up, supposedly. But every few minutes, I found myself glancing down, checking messages, refreshing a feed I didn't even care about. Eventually, he paused and said quietly, "You know you're here, but it doesn't feel like you're with me." Ouch. He wasn't being mean. He was being honest, and he was right. That moment was a wake-up call. Since then, I've created little no-phone rituals. I'm still not perfect, but I'm far more present. And let me tell you, life feels richer, deeper, quieter in the best way. Your phone isn't the enemy, but your attention. That's your most valuable currency. And right now, the world is fighting to steal it. Every second of the day, so reclaim it, because the people you love, the dreams you're chasing, the peace you've been craving, they don't live inside a screen. They live in the moments you're willing to be fully present for. So tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, try this. Put your phone away, close your apps, step outside, look someone in the eye, be still, breathe, and remember, you don't have to be available to the world to be fully alive in yours. You've probably heard this phrase 100 times, "I'll rest when I'm done." But here's the question, what if done never comes? What if you spend your whole life racing, chasing deadlines, checking boxes, climbing ladders, only to realize you never actually lived? Because here's what no one tells us in the hustle culture. Rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. And if you keep postponing it, life starts postponing its joy too. In today's world, being busy is a badge of honor. We glorify hustle, celebrate exhaustion, wear burnout like it's some kind of trophy. But underneath that constant grind, there's fatigue, resentment, disconnection, and eventually a quiet breakdown. You wake up one day and realize you've been operating on autopilot, running through the motions, but missing the moments. You're surviving, but not thriving. And here's the thing, you can't pour from an empty cup. This isn't just feel-good advice. It's biology. Your brain needs pauses. Studies show that short, intentional breaks throughout the day improve focus, memory, and creativity. People who take micro breaks are more engaged, happier, and make better decisions. And when it comes to longer breaks, research from the American Psychological Association found that vacations reduce stress, improve mood, and increase overall life satisfaction, especially if they include nature, novelty, or meaningful connection. Even short getaways, staycations, or just unplugged weekends have lasting effects. The message is clear. Breaks aren't indulgent. They're essential. You might think ancient Stoic philosophers were all about discipline and denial. And yes, they valued self-control, but they also understood the power of leisure. Seneca, one of the wisest Stoic minds, wrote, "Leisure without study is death, but study without leisure is madness." To the Stoics, leisure wasn't laziness. It was space for the mind to breathe, to think deeply, to reconnect with what matters. They knew that wisdom doesn't grow in constant motion. It grows in silence, in space, in stillness. If you're always moving, you never get the chance to listen to your life. Now, not all of us can pack up and fly to Greece tomorrow, and that's okay. Rest doesn't require a plane ticket. It starts with something simpler, micro breaks. Just 5 to 10 minutes of intentional pause during your day. No screens, no to-do list, just being. Step outside and feel the sun. Breathe deeply, stretch your body, close your eyes and listen to music. These tiny resets calm your nervous system, reset your attention, and remind you you're human, not a machine. Start with one micro break a day, then build up. It's not a waste of time, it's how you reclaim it. And then yes, there's the bigger stuff. You need real breaks too. Weekend road trips, nature retreats, visiting family, or just renting a cabin and going offline. Not someday, not when work slows down. Now, because here's a truth no one likes to admit. Work will never stop asking for more. It's your job to draw the line, to say, I matter, my peace matters, my relationships matter. Getaways help you zoom out, reconnect with joy, gain perspective, and often when you return, you work better, not worse. Because rest doesn't subtract from your productivity, it multiplies it. There was a time when I believed the more I worked, the more I mattered. I skipped vacations, worked through weekends, answered emails in bed. At first, it felt like winning, but slowly my creativity dulled, my energy dropped, and worst of all, I started resenting the work I once loved. One day, a mentor told me something that changed everything. If you don't make time for rest, you'll be forced to make time for recovery. I didn't want burnout to make that choice for me, so I started small. 10-minute walks between meetings, a quiet Sunday afternoon with no phone, a 2-day trip to the mountains. And you know what? I came back clearer, lighter, stronger. Not because the break fixed me, but because it reminded me, I'm not just what I produce. I'm also a person who gets to live. So here's what I want you to take away. You don't need to earn your rest. You just need to honor it. Because the best version of you, the kind one, the creative one, the grounded one, doesn't come from running on fumes. It comes from slowing down, pausing, breathing, remembering. So today, take a walk, sit in silence, book the trip. Say no to that extra meeting, and yes to you. Because this life is not a marathon of output. It's a journey of meaning. And sometimes the most meaningful thing you can do is simply stop. And B, let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat with someone? Not to talk about work, not to plan the next thing, but just to be with them. No distractions, no multitasking, just being there. Because here's the truth we often forget. The people in your life, your family, your friends, are not extras in your story. They are the story. We live in a world obsessed with goals, achievements, success. And while none of those are wrong, if we chase them at the cost of connection, we end up winning on the outside, but feeling empty inside. Because in the end, what truly fills the heart is not what we own, but who we love. Don't take my word for it. Ask the longest-running happiness study in history. Harvard ran a study for over 80 years, tracking men and later their families to answer one question. What makes a good life? Was it wealth, fame, accomplishments? No, the one factor, the quality of their relationships. Strong social bonds were linked to longer lifespans, lower stress and depression, higher overall life satisfaction, and even better memory and health in old age. In other words, love protects your body just as much as your heart. Now let's rewind about 2,000 years. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Humans exist for the sake of one another. Teach them or bear with them." That line, it's a reminder that we're not meant to go it alone. Even the Stoics, who emphasized independence, understood this. We are born for connection, to help, to understand, to love. You can have all the discipline, all the wisdom, but without people, life becomes hollow. Ironically, we've never been more connected than we are today, with social media, phones, and messaging apps. And yet, so many people feel lonely, isolated, unseen. Why? Because likes aren't love, comments aren't care, and scrolling through someone's highlight reel doesn't fill the silence in your own life. We're mistaking contact for connection. But connection, that takes presence, time, vulnerability, and yes, effort. I'll be honest with you. There was a time in my life when I let relationships slide. I told myself I was too busy, that the work I was doing would someday buy me the time to reconnect. But that someday kept getting pushed back. Until one day I looked around and realized I hadn't called my mom in weeks, hadn't seen my closest friend in months, and somehow, even in a room full of people, I felt alone. It hit me hard. I thought I was building